Hello and welcome back to RC Model Reviews. And do you notice anything different behind me? Yes, look at this, it's my new lab. And ooh, look how clean it is, see? Nothing on the bench, perfect. Last time you'll ever see it like that, because as you know, things pile up, work gets done and mess gets created. From chaos comes creativity. That's what I say, that's my excuse. But it's time for another not so weekly news. I apologise for the audio. I have carpet in, but there's still other stuff to go in to try and soak up all this echo. And may have to put some acoustic tiles on the walls and on the roof, I don't know. It's still damn echoey, but we'll see what happens when I get the rest of the stuff in here. First thing on the not so weekly news is my mailbag section. And of course, I've got a package here from Team Blacksheep. And it says here that there is a core board and a rookie 200 milliwatt transmitter. Now, I suspect they watched the video that I did, in which I found that the manual soldering on the Team Blacksheep core board was decidedly average, and that my little 200 milliwatt transmitter didn't actually work at all. So they've sent me replacements. Very good, thank you very much. Now, I'll be throwing the core board on the bench and having a look at it to see if they've improved that soldering. I'm pretty sure they will have, otherwise they wouldn't have sent me a replacement. So that'll be all good. And the other thing I wanted to talk about this not so week is the situation regarding Lipo shipments. Now, unfortunately, if you've ordered Lipos recently, you may have found you didn't get any. And why not? Well, because the Southeast Asian postal carriers, we're talking China Post, Hong Kong Post, Singapore Post, for quite some time now, they've had a policy of not accepting shipments of Lipos. Basically, they've said, no, we're not going to carry Lipos. Now, you may be thinking, well, how come we were able to get Lipos then? Well, what seems to have been happening is that the various hobby retailers have simply put the Lipos in a box, stuck a sticker on it, declaration that says toy parts or hobby parts, and shipped them anyway. And of course, none of the postal services have been opening every packet and inspecting it to make sure that the declaration is correct. And they didn't really care. But maybe because the Dreamline has been, catching on fire with the Lipo battery or something, who knows? But suddenly, the Southeast Asian postal services have decided to crack down and make sure that people aren't trying to fool the system by shipping Lipos declared as toy parts. And what's happened is a whole lot of Lipos that have been put in boxes and shipped have been returned to the senders, the companies that have been sending them, because it seems now that all the postal services are actually X-raying or otherwise inspecting the packages to make sure there aren't Lipos in there. And that has meant huge problems for people like Hobby King and High Model and other companies out of Southeast Asia that are exporting by mail Lipo batteries. It's a real problem. Now, Hobby King sent an email out to their customers this week in which they said, we're terribly sorry, here's the situation, blah, blah, blah. If you've ordered Lipos and you haven't received them, then what we'll do is we will organise an alternate carrier at our cost so that you're not out of pocket. That's really great. If it happens, that's really great. If you've ordered since the 2nd of October, well, you've found your options are a bit reduced. You've got a choice of Federal Express. None of the mail options are available anymore because the mail carriers won't carry the Lipos. And Federal Express, it's nice fast service, but it is more expensive. So the days of the really cheap Lipos from Hobby King and other Chinese suppliers may be over. Not because the batteries are getting more expensive, but because the shipping costs are more expensive. Now, if you live in Australia, if you live in the USA, if you live in parts of Europe, you might be all right because obviously Hobby King ships all the stuff out there in containers or something, so you're buying locally and the local mail services don't seem to check. But if you live in a country like New Zealand where I live, then it's tough cheese because we can't buy from the Australian warehouse, at least not at the moment we can't, and we can't buy economically from the international warehouse when it comes to Lipos because the FedEx is the minimum or the carrier that you have to use. So yeah, the days when I could get a 2200 milliamp 3-cell 25C Lipo delivered to my desk for $14 if I bought enough of them and did all the shipping right, are gone. They're probably going to cost me about $28 New Zealand now. So nearly probably doubling the price of a battery now, the standard sort of average battery, which is a big shame. But of course the local hobby shops will be jumping up and down rejoicing because suddenly their product is more competitive. Although, having said that, a 3-cell 2200 25C battery around these parts is around about, it's probably going to be somewhere from $35 to $45. So even at $32 or $28 I should say on my desk, it's still cheaper to buy from China. Well, they don't get the warranty, who cares? There you go, so yeah, that's a problem. Now, I went to High Model this morning and looked at their Lipos, and unfortunately their thing's even worse. They say, we will not ship this battery. So, hey, if they're not going to ship them, you can't buy them. I don't know what these people like High Model are going to do with their stock, because if you can't ship a battery, you can't sell it, and if you can't sell it, it sits on the shelf till it goes mouldy and dies. It's a bit unfortunate. So yeah, there you go. If you've got plenty of stocks of Lipos, if you've already bought and you've got some sitting in the cupboard, great. But don't forget, Lipo batteries do die through aging. It's not just use, but they've got a finite lifespan. So a couple of years sitting on the shelf and they're not really very good anymore. So make the most of them while you can. Of course, I've got lots of nitro models out here, and I've got gas models. So I'm not overly concerned. Yeah, I like my AXN and my other EDFs and things, but hey, I'll still have models to fly even if they ban the shipping of lipos altogether, because, I've still got 20 litres of methanol out there, and I've got, if you can afford it, you can buy gasoline at the fuel pump. So those models, maybe we'll see a resurgence in nitro planes and a growth in the gas plane market. Who knows? But yeah, it's just a shame that the passing of the cheap lipo for some of us has just happened, and is unlikely to get those cheap lipos back. Never mind. So there you go. Now, coming up later this week, we've got another Theory Thursday. I'll be doing another video before that in which I'll be trying to answer some of the questions that have been posed as a result of the first one, the one I did on flaps and lift, because I knew it would be a bit of a contentious subject. I knew people have opinions, and some people say, oh, Mr. Bernoulli's got nothing to do with it, and other people say, oh, no, it is Bernoulli. So yeah, we've had a lot of discussion on that, and what I'll be doing is trying to answer some of the questions people have asked. And got to remember when I do these videos, these theory videos, I take a few liberties sometimes. So someone pointed out things like changing pressure, center of pressure on the wing causing the pitching. Yeah, it does. But as I said, it's a rule of thumb, 9 times out of 10, it's the position relative to the center of gravity. But if I go into the depths, the deep details of how center of pressure moves and what it does, then your eyes will glaze over and you'll just fall asleep. So I just try and keep it really simple. But there you go. So coming up, yes, another Theory Thursday. And yeah, I've got lots of bench stuff because the weather is really crappy outside. It's raining, it's drizzly, it's cold, it's windy. If I didn't have this, I wouldn't be making this video because it'd be too dull, too dark, too dim. But I've got all that stuff over there. They've got the, that I've been wanting to do bench tests on. That's the Orange long range system. That's the Dragon Link long range system. That's the latency figures for the Tyrannus and a few other radios. Now I've got a bench with nothing on it. It's gonna be a whole lot easier to do those videos. So there you go. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up so other people can find it. If you've got comments, questions, whatever, stick them on the bottom. And I thank you for watching. See you again very soon and very frequently now, because of this, on RC Model Reviews. Bye for now.